Hi, I'm Bob Ryan. This is Globe 10.0. With me today is Chad Finn as we await Monday evening's Game 5 Celtics and 76ers situation where they're 2-2 when we all feel they ought to be 3-1. On the other hand, they could have lost Game 1 at home, too. I mean, this whole series is kind of, wacky. All right, everybody says the Celtics always like to make things hard on themselves. What's your interpretation of this group?
I think the Celtics always like to make things hard on themselves. We knew that going into the last game, but that's probably the most egregious example.
Oh, yeah, and yet not that people haven't lost 18-point leads before. And as a matter of fact, in this year's playoffs, we have a team that lost that came from 27 down to win a game and then had a 24-point lead evaporate and lost the game, those being the Clippers. But as well as the 76ers, here's a very simple question. Do you honestly think, Chad Finn, that the Celtics have complete professional respect for the 76ers, or do they still think we're better and we'll prove it when we have to?
I think they think they're better than everybody. It's not just the Sixers. I don't know if they have complete professional respect for the Miami Heat. That's just the makeup of this particular group of players, led by the point guard.
Led by the point guard, who, in that sense, who is... Should we say he has a tendency to carelessness, to get careless when he's ahead, throw the home run pass, make passes that don't have to be made. That's number one. And then the number two is in certain possessions near the end of the game, nothing happens.
Yeah.
He, as Kuz would say, he dribbles and dribbles, and then and nothing happens. And they get a shot generally taken by him at the buzzer that clanks. Anyway, okay. All right, now. So we may not convinced that they have seen enough evidence that they have to take this other team 100% seriously for 48 minutes.
I think what happened in the second half the other day probably gives them as much knowledge of that as they're going to have. But I'm a little worried about Game 5 too because the Avery Bradley situation.
The Avery Bradley situation, and he's become very important to them. That is a problem, and I have to temper my, shall we say, optimism with regard to that because they don't really have a replacement for him. I mean, there's nobody else going to replicate that. Kean Dooling isn't going to replicate that. Marquise Daniels was supposed to be the guy, but I don't think that ship left the dock a while ago.
Something about that 28% shooting
don't you
from
think?
inside the key.
All right, so there we go. It's an interesting game, but I think here's my call. They do win this game, and then on Wednesday they go to Philly, put on the game face, get it done. That's my call.